Hello, hello. There's a tracking number that was sent to the President of the United States. So while I was an undergrad, I was told that in order to earn a degree, a bachelor's degree, the last 90 credits had to be taken at the degree awarding institution. And you need at least X number of credits towards your major. I believe it was 7 courses towards your major at the degree awarding institution or something like that. The school that I went to, I think was under investigation for, or no, a student who went to the school that I went to, he failed out. And he would later say, I guess, something about that school engaging in grade inflation, which raised the question if he failed out and they were inflating grades, you know. Of course, I took some courses during my undergrad that I passed, but I didn't get the grade that I deserved, type thing. I took biochemistry, for example, and here was one where one professor remarked that I beat the median on the midterm, and but that was with an issue in grading where I didn't receive credit for a correct answer that I had gotten. There was a question on enantiomers, and I still have the test. And I approached the professor and I said, "Hey, I got this one right. Can you give me credit for it?" And he said, "No." So I went to my organic chemistry professor and I said, "Listen, I'm right about this one, right?" And she said, "Yes." So I went back to him armed with her support, and he still refused to give me credit for the question I got right. Then he changed some grading rubrics to favor a student who had complained. She wasn't doing well in the course, so she asked, if one thing could weigh more than the other, and if it had kept to the original rubric, I would have scored higher in the course. Now, the final, I believe the highest grade was 50%. It was a 2-question final, an open book final, where the questions were, one was like it was like a passage, and you had to find information from the passage. What was this study on? What were some details of the study? The second question was about DHA omega 3s and how they were vital to brain development in adolescents or infants or something, and we were supposed to find the pathway. And having the textbook, I don't think it would be in the textbook. It wouldn't be in our notes. So now it comes down to, can you find this on the internet? Now, it could have been, I guess, maybe in a KEGG pathway, but I believe the highest grade on the final was 50%. There was also a KEGG pathway project where he made us draw all these, glycolysis, Krebs cycles, gluconeogenesis, and whatnot. And the way the final question was framed, he would say, "Eat an apple and trace the apple. Trace what happens." So you're tracing glycolysis, and then he said, "Go in reverse." So I said, "Okay, you need 2 things." And he says, "No, you don't need 2. Well, gluconeogenesis, the end product is a 6-carbon molecule. So how do you get to 6 using just one 3-carbon molecule? You don't. You need 2 3-carbon molecules. So I got points off. So he gave me a 28 out of 30 arbitrarily. That's a 93. If it's 100, that's a heavily weighted assignment. I do better in the course, but let's go back to that midterm. Everything as it is, I have a question on the midterm that I got right that he's marking me wrong on. My final grade is an 86.4. I say, can you give me an 86.5? He says no. Now, if he gives me credit for that question I got right on the final, I have an 86.7 or an 86.8. I still have some of the math. So that's half a letter grade on my transcript. That's a B versus a B plus, right? And throw in those 2 points on that final project, and now you're looking at an A minus. That wouldn't be the only time he deprived me of a grade I earned. I was taking microbiology. I got a 94 in the midterm, 10 out of 10 on every quizzes, 10 out of 10 on all the lab reports. I say, I need to take the final early. He says, no. I say, why? He says, you know why. So then I speculate. What's the reason? Why wouldn't he give me the final? I wound up having to medically withdraw from the school because I had a seizure.